that's deep. I want to know how it feels to be loved, how it feels to be me, how it feels to be free. Ha! Guys,
But
what's not deep?
Give
me the magic.
But what inspired those words? Yeah, well,
it
wasn't heartbreak. That's why you want to know how it feels to be
heartbroken at 17.
Nkululeko on Cultr.
Nkululeko on Cultr. Hello and welcome to yet another episode. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for subscribing, liking, and commenting on the content. My next guest is I don't know whether you can be unfamous. Are you a formerly famous person, or you're still famous, or were you a child star? Are you still a child star if you are older? Welcome, Zamajobe Sithole.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That was my attempt at confusing you.
Oh, confusing me?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Are you infamous or unfamous? Or are you still famous?
Ngazelapi, I don't know.
Only people can judge that.
Only people can judge it.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us, man. I've seen that you were doing a media run promoting your new single. We're going to talk about that. I was watching the Idols. Well, let me qualify this. I don't watch the Idols.
Yeah.
My daughter was watching the Idols. She's 10 years old.
Okay.
So I explained to her that what you are watching is scripted reality. Sometimes they push contestants to win over the others because they have a sob sad story. I think she was confused because she's still 10.
Yeah.
But I explained to her that the people that win don't always become successful musicians.
Yeah.
You were an idol who became a successful musician, even though you did not win. Can you help us reflect on at the time? Like, you were a teenager at the time, right?
Yes.
When you did the Idols.
Yeah.
What of that experience can you still remember? Did it help you to go to the Idols? Were you always going to be a musician even without going to the Idols?
No. Wow, good questions. Look at you. Look at you.
I am a content creator.
Yeah. No, I did not. I'm saying a good question because I've actually been like enjoying telling that story as of lately, like how I was never gonna be a musician. I didn't know what I was gonna be, but it didn't cross my mind that I was gonna be a musician. But music was all I was doing all the time.
Yeah.
If you think about it, but it was never like, oh, this is what I want to do when I grow up.
Yeah. What do you think about the franchise, The Idols? It's a global franchise and it's an American franchise. I think it was discontinued in America. I stand to be corrected.
Yeah.
And then South Africa still continues, but there's now rumors about a drop in ratings. What do you think of that?
Yeah, because I must be a judge. Yeah, I mean, it's a good platform for it did really birth myself overseas, about Jihad, you know. Who else came out to become a real success overseas? I'm trying to think, except for Jennifer Hudson.
The Fantasia Barrino, I think she came from the Idols. She never won, but
she did. She did come from Idols. I will carry Tonton. Clarks or whatever, something would. Am I saying her name right? So actually now that, and then locally, I don't know as well. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that it has birthed, certain people and put them into the game that have had longevity in the game, and that are spreading themselves and doing other things as well and all kinds of things. So, I ain't mad at it. But, as a contestant, you do have to use that platform to maybe sort of like kind of create a name for yourself. But then I think what's most important, which is maybe the problem with maybe some contestants and having that difficulty after the show, is you have to, when you get out of the show, immediately, because next season, they're already thinking about next season as soon as this season is finishing, so they're already thinking about next year. So like you'd find that now the seasons are like 6 months, 7 months apart. So whoever is coming from that show is having about 3-4 months of like just that excitement from that show about that person. And then the next season's coming, it's going to be a new excitement about the next new, contestants and whatnot. So Yeah, so but it's very difficult to kind of balance the two, because when you're coming from that high, especially from our seasons, sorry, I can go on forever, but especially from my season,
this is not radio, it's not television.
Oh, okay. So
Please
I'm
go
not
on
stopped from. Okay, so from my season, which was the second season, it was the second time they were doing Idols in South Africa ever. It was running for a long time. It ran for like 6 months. Where you kind of like your whole life it stopped for 6 months. Now I think Idols, it goes on for about a month, 2 months or something like that. It's very quick.
Yeah.
So when you're coming down from that high, it's very difficult for people. I've seen with other contestants, the likes of like, some of them were my friends, even after the show, we lived together and whatever, and they were still running that high from the show, and they were gigging, doing covers, because obviously you don't have your own repertoire at that moment, at that point. So you're doing covers, you're doing weddings, you're doing, what's this, Jewish birthdays, bat mitzvahs?
Bat mitzvah.
Yeah, you're doing that. You're doing all kinds of gigs. You're doing corporates. You're doing that, and you're collecting money, and you're making a good living for yourself, and you think that's going to last. And it doesn't. So for me, I was sitting there, I was doing those corporates, whatever, but I wasn't a winner, so I wasn't getting booked as much. So I had time immediately after the show, right in the studio. I was writing, trying to find my way, working with this producer, not working with this producer, eventually finding the right producer, and then releasing within a space of about 8 months immediately after Idols, and then having a record label that really pushed me, and we were still riding that Idols wave. And the angle was really kind of interesting because it was pop Idols, and I was doing sort of like jazzy, Afro soulish and whatever. And I changed from Zamajobe Sithole, and I was like, I want to use my full name. We did a whole new packaging, and we pushed that. And then the world was like, how? Uzama from Idols, Sega Zamajobe manje, okay. And then we answer this and whatever, and we pushed that. And then the music happened to be now what I've been told, like legendary, Ndawoyami Magic, all those songs, so that's what I did. And, so I think it's a good platform. It just depends on like, how do you use that platform?
Yeah. I said to my daughter yesterday that a lot of the people that I specifically said, the person that you are enjoying singing there, as you mentioned, repertoire and their own music, I said to her, they don't have their own music yet.
Yeah.
And I explained to her like, you may be amazed by the voices, but they haven't stood the test of time in that they haven't written their own music.
Yeah.
They would need writers first in order to prove whether or not they could even become musicians.
A real living artist. Yeah, that's true. Because I mean, for how long can you do cover bands and can you do this? Like I said, it's a very short time before the next season is up and new contestants, people are excited about it, and then they're booking those people to come sing covers and whatever. And then it's like, we don't want to hear covers from you anymore. Like, we want to hear covers from a new person. So that is a tactic. It's like, go to the studio immediately, even during the show if you can, start writing, or even before you go to the show, have material that you want to release, and then go via the show for marketing, because it is a grand marketing platform. You literally, like I said, when we were doing it, we were 6 months there. The week in Idols was on a Monday, you get a new song. If you survive Sunday nights, you didn't get voted out. The week starts Monday, you're getting a new song. They got songs, they've got a theme, you're picking songs, you're picking 2 songs. You're learning 2 songs every week. And then Tuesday it starts the media interviews from 6 a.m. till whatever, and then there's rehearsal, group rehearsal, your own individual rehearsals. Wednesday you've got a song coach. Well, it teaches you the industry in a nutshell. It's training of how the real industry is like, and how you need to live up like with that pressure, resting your vocals, all of that stuff. So it's training. So yes, I would say I would definitely not be knocking. I will not knock Idols. If it wasn't for Idols, I would not be here. Whether how they're doing things now, how they're not doing things now, none of my business. It's a platform that launched me, and I'll forever be grateful for it.
Do you have anything that you think needs improvement immediately? Because
Told you, make me a judge. Anyway, angisazi market shamelessly. Yeah.
There's JR, there's Tembi, and there's Somizi. Who would you replace though?
I ain't trying to replace anybody. I just think that, like, I know the show. I know how it feels to be a contestant. I know what you need to do after the show to have longevity. You know, people still go on about my music and whatever. So I feel like I could give a lot of mentoring, you know. That's just me. Because I know what they're feeling. Yeah. I know what they're going through. I know, like I told you, I know the steps, like, and how it feels through the steps and whatever. And I really feel like I could really help these people past just the show, past just their goal being, not the end goal being, let me be number one or let me be number two or third runner up. The goal to be, let me do this for a living for the rest of my life. Yeah. You know, also, not saying don't try and win, you know. I would, if I had to do it again, I would still want to try and be a winner. But then also, I would also try and have a career afterwards. Focus on that.
Is it realistic for that show and South Africa to think that just because you have a good voice that you will make a good artist? Because the judging is about your story and also your voice as well. Like, or people vote as a result of the way you look, how you are packaged, your story, your voice. Yeah. But it doesn't always mean that you will become a good artist, because you need to learn how to write.
Definitely
or you need to afford
not.
Writers.
Definitely not. It does not mean that. And if you can't write, there's not a problem with that. There's legends in like that were never really penned for themselves, but were beautiful and like dynamic artists. Whitney Houston, I can name so many. Whitney never really wrote. She was given songs, but she was a big star. Mira Makeba, she never really wrote. But she was a big star. So you don't necessarily have to be a writer. You don't have to be an Erykah Badu or Lauryn Hill or myself. There's different types of artists, of musicians. And if that's not your strength and your strength is vocals, you know, then the trick is to find the right people. You know, the trick with the entertainment, I think in life in general, with anything, is just finding the right people that connect with you and that you connect with and that can take you, that can share their skill sets, and you guys can share skill sets. Ni understand that you're a partnership and push each other forward. Yeah. So that could be, you know, something where you need to learn how to do it, to find the right people.
You could have a voice but have a questionable personality and not be built for this. Like, there are other aspects too. You could have a voice and people could write for you, but perhaps the spotlight could frighten the heck out of you. Yeah. Perhaps someone offering you something to drink or smoke, you are impressionable. You could take that, you know, and perhaps you are you are an unreliable person who, when it's studio time, you're not there. Yeah. For example, so there's so many other things other than the voice itself. You have to be a reliable person. You have to be someone who's good at judging characters and stuff like that. Yeah. You know. Yeah. I think South Africa thinks that just because you have a good voice that you can be a star. Yeah. And that's not always the case, that because you have good vocals you can be a star. Yeah. Tell us about your label situation. Was it in direct relationship with your success on the Idols that someone called you?
Yes.
Yeah. What happened?
It was, oh my God, you with the good questions. Oh my God. So the guy that called me after the show, everybody during those times, everybody that was in the top 10 automatically had a recording deal, you know. So that's why I'm saying it's a fair game for everybody. Mina, I was just not like doing too many weddings and too many corporates and too many of these birthday parties and all of that stuff, that I had time to balance the two. And my friend, who was a second runner up, like I said, if you want to know who I'm talking about, you can just Google my season and you know who. She was supposed to win. She actually, I think our season changed the whole look of Idols, because during our season it did have black contestants, but it had also like a lot of white contestants, and then people that maybe the world or South Africa felt like should not have won. Not that they're not talented, but there were people that deserved it a lot more.
This was 2004.
This was 2003.
So
my album came out 2004.
Oh yeah.
This was 2003.
And the context is that Black South Africans at the time, not a lot of them had DSTV.
They didn't have Mnet.
Yeah.
They didn't, and also if they did have money to anything, they would rather buy bread or milk with that money,
which is understandable.
Yeah, and the ratings were like the most people, because they did a survey. Most people that were voting at that time were stay-at-home housewives, white housewives, Afrikaner housewives.
Yeah. Those
are the people that had the time to really kind of like invest. And then who are they going to vote for? Obviously,
people who look like them.
People who look like them. You know, so that's when it started looking like the whole concept of idols started being very obvious. Like the conversations started coming, because myself, I will pusele. So it was like, nah, but guys, what is happening though? You know, yes.
Isn't that the season where
Anka deserved?
Yeah.
Yes. We're not saying Anka's not talented, but especially Puseletso. All of us were shocked, you know, because I was like, if I ain't getting this, like me and Puseletso were tight like that. Like I said, even after the show, we lived together. Like we were tight.
Oh, she comes from my area in Nkululeko.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I remember the buzz around the time because I was 13 and it was like, yo, everyone was talking about her. And I think she was still in high school or something.
Yeah, we were both in high school.
Yeah.
We were all in high school, and Upuseleso used to call each other my F. Like Upuseleso used to hold me down because my ass would get tired and overwhelmed. And Upuseleso just loved it. Like cameras just fueled her, you know. And then she'd come to my room. Did you learn your song this week? Did you learn the lyrics? And then she'd come and like practice with me. Like she's the one that kept me going. She revived me because mina beseng kathala, like 6 months at a show, and you're learning, like I said, 2 new songs every week, this, whatever. And I'm the type of person who's very secretive, likes to be by myself. I was like, this is too much, too much energy on me all the time. And then she would just fuel me all the time. I loved her. So I knew if I don't take it, Butse was taking it. Like she was like, my F, it has to, like, we have to run with each other till the end. Like I need you here in this competition. I need you. You know, she would cry, I need you. Come on, you know. So I knew that whatever happens, like Butse was going to take this, you know. And I knew Anka was a strong contender as well. Abo Jacques also were strong contenders. But Upuseletso, guys. Puseletso, you know. So when she didn't win, it was like very obvious to go to, okay, something about the show needs to start changing.
Yeah.
You know, something is like not right. No offense to Anka, but something is not right because this girl where was she from again? From Kukulet. This girl from Kukuletu should have been the star of this. She was the star of this competition.
Yeah. We're talking about the initial phone call you got from a record label as a result.
Yeah. So Dave Thompson was one of the judges then. It was Randall Marlowe, and Garrett Cliff.
Yeah.
So and
even with the judges, you could tell this is the audience that they have.
Yeah. You know, and then Dave Thompson, people don't remember Dave Thompson. There were 4 judges then. Dave Thompson was the executive at BMG at that time. It's called Sony now, you know. So he was the executive at BMG. So he offered everybody in the top 10 a deal. Automatically, what you do with it is up to you. So with Dave, when I was voted out initially, you know, that Sunday, the next day, Monday, 20 million phone calls taking you different directions. I ran with Dave, obviously. I think there were other people, but I went with Dave because he was familiar, because he was my judge. And, you know, I'd known him for 6 months. So I was like, if I'm going to start the industry, I'm going to start with Dave. So I went with Dave and talked to him. And then he was like, okay. And I was Dave's favorite. Like, if you ask, like, it's obvious. There was this I'm not just claiming that, guys. There was this wild card where, to show also the unfairness of the competition, they did a thing where they did a wild card. And because everybody in the competition in the top 10 was like too white, you know, so they did a wild card thing where each judge, they decided to introduce us halfway through the competition. Each judge can bring back one person, one contestant that was voted, because I was initially voted out, can bring back one contestant that they think should not have been voted out and then should come back Dave brought me back.
Wow.
I don't think Randall brought somebody. I don't remember who, whatever. So Dave brought me back, and then he was like, "You better fight." And I was like, "Okay, now that I'm back." And Pusas was like, "You better fight."
Were you home?
I was initially out. So
I'm just trying to ascertain whether or not you had packed your bags.
No. It was what I hadn't packed my bag. Like I said, they did a thing because at that time it was Sunday night you perform, Monday night is the results. So on the Monday night of the results, they announced right as we were sitting there who is going home, ne? And then they did a spin. Like none of us were told. All of us were like, what? And they were like, okay, these are people that were voted out. You stand there. And we were surprised because usually you walk off, like they direct you behind the scenes. Okay, when you voted out, this is where you go, and you must go this way and go this. So we know which way you go when you voted out, and then when you're staying, you sit here. So this time they changed. They said, okay, this is what we're gonna do tonight. Everybody that's voted out must stand here. I'm like, what? Okay, so we're standing there. And then they did a wild card. And then the judges, they did a video of them and they said, okay, guys, we're introducing a new thing. Colin Moss was a presenter then. We're doing a new thing now. This is what we're doing. Judges can bring back one person and whatever. And if one of those people is standing here, you can come back and sit down. If one of those people are at home already, they're going to be brought back. Mm-hmm. We're like, what? We're looking at each other. I'm like, I hope I'm coming back. I hope I'm coming back. You know, I knew Marlo was going to bring me back, but Randall or whatever. But I had I hope that Gareth or Dave, you know, because they were always incredibly kind to me towards at the show. So Dave was like, I'm bringing back Zama. And that's when, you know, they were like, okay, guys, we're changing the show a little bit because it's feeling a little bit unfair now. And after our season, that's when things started changing. You know, now it's like Idols is like, hey, couldn't be black. Yeah. But so anyway, so Dave offered me the deal and he signed me up with a lot of writers, pop writers and all of those things. I wasn't put me in the studio, sent me everywhere. I wasn't feeling any of that stuff. I wasn't feeling it. And then I decided.
Expand on what you mean when you're saying you weren't feeling it. So songs were written for you, you recorded them, and then you were unhappy with the end result.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I connected with the music.
Yeah. Did you find your voice? Did you feel like as a teenage girl at the time, you had sufficient say in pushing back on Dave and saying, look, we've recorded this, I do not like it?
Yeah. No, I mean,
you felt that you're being listened to.
Yeah, that's part of the success. I think that was initially your question. That was the most intricate, delicate part of my success was those conversations with Dave Thompson, the way that that BMG at that time really took care of me was exactly what launched me. And Maria, you know, shout out to Maria, she's still there. She's the one she's this Greek lady that was handling a lot of soulful ladies. So she handled Judith before me, and then it was me, and she handled Lira and Zonke. You know, that's her thing.
Oh, they had a good repertoire.
Yeah, she handled Lira and Zonke after me. Yeah. But before, she had only done Judith. And nobody assigned her to me. It's because I was up and down the halls of Sony all the time talking to Dave. And then Dave gave us, Sony has a studio downstairs. So, I would be downstairs and then finishing something, going up to Dave to go show him or make him listen, whatever. And Maria just kind of involved herself. She was like, do you guys should come downstairs? I think we got my computer upstairs. Yeah, your office work. As it downstairs, ask Buzu, do you guys want anything? Should I help you with this or whatever? And then we just formed a friendship, and that's how she kind of took over my account. Yeah. As such, yeah.
You pushed back on the songs initially and you were listened to. Yeah. You always knew at the time that you could write? Like,
no.
Was that so that wasn't your angle? No, I don't want. Because me, for example, I would prefer to write for myself. Yeah. Because I know that I write poetry and shit like that. Okay. So I would push back because I know I have the skill to write, right? Okay. So when you pushing back, utembe in.
It's just common sense. Something that God has always given me. Thank God. Yeah. You know? I was just like, I don't like this. And it's just an energy thing or something like that. It's like, if I don't connect with this, people are not going to connect with me if I'm not connecting with what I'm doing. So it was just kind of common sense to me. So I was like, I don't want it, but I don't know Beng Tembeni.
Yeah.
I don't know Beng Tembeni. But we went through a long thing, and he was really patient, Dave. And I think the part of the trust as well was he treated me like the way my dad treated me. So he was like a kind of like a father to me. He treated me the way that my father treated me, in a sense that he would sit and listen to what a 13-year-old, 14-year-old have to say, and then hear me out, try to understand, give me his feedback and things like that, but hear me out, So Dave treated me like that.
How old were you when you recorded
No, I was
your first album?
I was 17.
Shit.
I was 17. Yeah.
That's amazing, bro. Like, Nas was 17 when he wrote Illmatic, and he wrote a lot of it when he was 15, 16. And Illmatic is one of the best hip-hop albums of all time.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how a 17-year-old could project a message that, permeates to 50-year-olds and reaches your stuff. Like, when you were 17, it reached 50-year-olds, and it reached 60-year-olds and 25-year-olds, of course, your peers, 30-year-olds as well. That's amazing, though.
Yeah.
What did you understand about the deal at the time? Like, when you signed it, they were taking care of you. They were going to help you record music.
Yeah.
A lot of artists are speaking and they're crying. And they're crying a lot about what was taken from them, but they signed contracts.
Yeah.
What was your understanding of that contract situation? For example, when you're performing, did you expect that if you're getting paid 10K that you're gonna give half to a label?
No, I didn't have that kind of contract.
Sure.
No.
So who helped you with your contract?
That's a crappy contract. My dad, yes, we were so brave. Gosh, shout out to my late dad, because he kind of like read through it, and like, again, we were using our common sense. That was really dangerous to do. Thank God it worked out. But we kind of read through it. I read through it. And if there's things that I didn't understand, we could ask BMG, like, what does this mean? My dad also the same thing. I remember the only thing I had a problem with was that my contract was 7 years. So I was like, 7 years? No, that's too long. What if I don't like it here or something like that? And my father was like, 7 years is not that long. You will be 24 and you will still be young and you can still have a whatever. But other than that, I didn't have any issues with my contract. I didn't have a shitty contract like that. Like
a 360 deal.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't take somebody's live performance is where we make a bulk of our money, actually. Because CD sales, even at that time, my royalties on my CD sales like 50,000 units, guys. We're not pushing 1 million like overseas artists and things like that. Like platinum here at that time was 50,000 units. Foot, I think now platinum has dropped.
Gone down.
It's gone down now. So, and you're making what? Like, you're getting, God knows what, 11% of your sales. That's all you're getting from 50,000 units. 50,000 units times 100 Rand a CD. And then you get that once a year, whenever. That's not enough. So, and then for somebody to come and take another 50% of the 10K from your gigs, I get it, guys. Like that can't happen. So I would never have signed anything like that in the first place.
Yeah, but it's like an outlier. Not everyone is able to read through those contracts and stand up for themselves like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a message then we'll go into more of the stuff that you did, but maybe a word to the people who are aspiring musicians now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of musicians are going to podcasts and they're crying.
Yeah.
They're crying about being robbed and stuff like that. What would you say to them? Like, now you are recognizing the risk that you and your dad took.
Yeah.
Would you advise them the legal route? Have representatives? What would you do now if your child wanted to sign a deal? How would you approach it now?
It depends on how deep your pockets are. But if my child wanted to sign a deal, I would really kind of go independent, That's what I would do. Or if I do sign with a label, because those guys have the muscle, independence.
Because your first album would never, I heard it on Metro, Mhlobo, and then it was everywhere when I was a teenager, and it still gets played on Radio 2000 now.
Yeah.
That would not happen without the backing of a label.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, these guys, I'm actually having that experience with radio even now. It's like, it's such a lot of work. Whereas with Sony, even if I release something that I'm like, I wasn't sure if I really liked it, it would automatically be airplayed because it's Sony, because Sony gives them a lot of also international content. It's an international company. So people like Justin Timberlake, I don't know who, but I don't know anymore. I don't follow who Sony's artists are, but like people like maybe Abu Asha, Justin Timberlake, whatever. It's a lot of international content that they release here as well. You know, they basically, these guys are here, they put them here in Africa and wherever to basically push international artists and be like, okay, let's sign local ones as well, just so it doesn't look bad.
Yeah.
It's that kind of vibe. So they distribute a lot for international artists here locally, for radio, for if there was musicals and all of that, they do all of that. That's why they're here. That's why they planted the companies here in the country. So radio automatically will play an artist from Sony because Sony gives them so much content, more than just the local artists, international artists. They can give them first, like the first Beyonce, I'm going to give it to, if they have a good relationship with Metro or whatever, I'm going to give it to you guys first, you know, or something like that. So, so it makes it easy to piggyback on those artists to be like, okay, here's the first Beyonce, you're the first one we're gonna give to, you know, and then here's the local artist as well.
Oh, we can always stream today. I mean, the context has changed so much that, I mean, Beyonce releases a song and it's available for everyone because we can stream it now. And also the power of radio is diminishing. As I explained to you about podcasting, that you are better off just coming to podcasts and promoting your music. But of course,
I still like radio though, because a bunch of my royalties come from radio. So it's still something that like I want to hang on to and like kind of understand in terms of playing the music. When I say I like radio, so I want to hang on to until they obsolete, I guess.
I'm still trying to explore the signing away your music. A lot of people don't like their music. Like a lot of musicians, you talk to them, they have resentment over the art that they created when they first entered the industry. Because they're not making a lot of money from it and they don't actually own it. You know, so they kind of resent it. It's like, yo, Zola and but it's like, nah, man, I don't wanna, because it's like it's wrapped up in the legality of the contracts and stuff like that. You have good positive feelings about your first album in that you still earn from it and you don't have any resentment that someone else owns it. What's the ownership structure of that album?
I own the masters now, so that was also part of my contract. After a certain amount of years, I own the masters of the album. So so the work that I have released, Sony will always be benefiting from that in terms of the sales and all of that. So that's the structure of my whatever. But if I take those musics, those masters, and I remix them, I do this with them, I re-record them, I own that. You know, so it's up to me as to where I want to go with it. And it's not really up to me, it's up to my audience, you know. Like, I mean, I'm not going to keep pushing something, you know, but people are still vibing with my stuff. So, you know, I don't know what I'll do. I mean, I was actually thinking about that 2 days ago because this year makes it 18 years and I really want to do like a 20-year something. So whether I re-release it, remastered, I will own that, you know, or I get DJs to hop on and then remix it and I release that, I will own that. Or I get people to perform because a lot of people like to cover my songs. I don't know what I'll do with it. Or I do a tour, or I do a big show because I've never done a live DVD. And, you know, do a live DVD of that and then...
Or release a DVD in 2022.
You can't release a DVD?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, or release a DVD in 2022. I know South Africa, the composition of the country is that 60 to 70% of our population is poor. So they might have DVD players.
Oh, yeah, Ghana, there's that.
But still, like, they're phasing out DVD players.
Oh, really? That's why I said I don't know what I'll do. I'm going to have to look at the landscape of the industry, you know. You are really pushing the whole podcast thing. Like, you are all about, he's very vibing about that. He's pushing his own agenda. But, you know, it's a good agenda to push. I like podcasts. You know, there's all kinds of podcasts on YouTube that are tackling all kinds of different things. So I'm all about that. I don't even have DSTV, you know. So, you know, I'm all Wi-Fi, Netflix, that girl, YouTube. I'm always on those platforms. So, you know, so yeah.
Ndawayami, hey, Magic. All of those were written by you at 17?
Yes.
What happened? Like, how?
I don't
almost
know
impossible, Joe. Like when you think about those songs, they're so beautiful, and it's like, yo, how can a 17-year-old write that?
Yeah.
You know, what happened? Like, is there a story behind any of the songs, or you just wrote poetry?
Yeah. That's a good yeah. There's no deep story, honest, except for Taxi Ride. Taxi Ride has a story, but other than that, all of the things I was just like creating what is coming from inside of me, and I didn't even know that all of these things were inside of me, you know, until you're given a chance to express yourself, and you're like, yo, there was so much of this I was carrying around.
Do you realize that we derive so much meaning? Meaning is subjective. It's interpretation.
Yeah.
We derive so much meaning from songs that were not coming from any personal experiences from you.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, in the Oyami, and then someone thinks of their boyfriend or their husband or their wife.
Yeah.
You know, Tina, we impose meaning on the songs. Gandhi, when you were just writing poetry as a 17-year-old.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's a poor backup story for your fans, though. Like,
no, seriously though, like
I know I would rather you not lie about it, but you realize
I don't want to lie. I'm incredibly candid. Like, you know, I don't know if you've watched any of my interviews. Like, I try to like say exactly how I'm feeling, or you know, respond to your question as candidly
honestly
as
possible.
Yeah, but that is the truth. It was just the concept there was just create, like Ndaoyami. Also, when I was writing it, it was utopia. You know, utopia is this beautiful place in your head. You know, this place is in my dreams, this place is in my head all day. You know, it's just a beautiful like escape. You know, I'm Aquarius. I don't know if people are into star signs, so I live in my head a lot, just daydreaming and thinking about things, sometimes it's like I don't live in reality. I live in like how the world should be, not how the world really is. And then when the world shows me how it really is, it's like, oh thank God, you know. So I create from that space, from utopia, from idealism.
Yeah,
idealism. So that's
maybe we should get more 15-year-olds to write music.
Yeah.
Because Ricardo, I think he was 11 or 13 when he wrote "I Love You, Daddy."
Yes.
You know, it's like, yo, bruh, at least your dad had not disappointed you at around 18. So like that's the naivety. And "I Love You, Daddy" is beautiful. Like it's beautiful, and it's a song for us, you know, as far as because not a lot of music is dedicated to us, you know. It's like maybe we need more 14-year-olds to write music, because you will write from utopia.
Yeah.
Because you hadn't been disappointed and battered by life and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Can you share interesting stories about your awards, first summer awards, like the award shows that you attended, or interesting shows that you would have attended? Metro FM awards. I don't know if they were still they already existed at the time.
Yeah.
Interesting things that happened, or your first mind-blowing experiences when you went to awards after recording the album.
Okay. Within the awards thing, the nice award that I went to was it was called the Mamas, the MTV
Africa Music Awards.
Yes. Okay, so not that one. So what they did was that year, it was the first year of the Mamas that they launched. So me and Lebo Mathosa were like the face of that. So we went, so they were in sync with the EMAs, the Europe Music Awards, the MTV Music Awards in Europe.
In Europe, yeah.
So what they did was that year, they introduced the world category, African category. And obviously, I was the first one to be nominated. Like I said, Guti, me and Lebo were the face of that. So we went to Portugal. It was in Portugal that year. We went to Portugal and we did the launch. So the week leading up to the MTV Awards in Europe, the EMAs, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of press. There's a lot of conferences. A lot of whatever. So me and Lebo were doing quite a few performances where they invited a lot of people from all over, because a lot of people from all over the world in the music industry comes to Europe at that time. And we were performing for them. So that was fun. And then walking down the red carpet, that was fun. And meeting a lot of international artists, that was fun. And representing the continent at that time. So that's when I was like, yeah, music, you're showing me things, eh? You're showing me things.
How was Lebo?
Lebo, my twin. I've been told so many times. She was amazing. So what happened was we weren't the only artist. There was another artist from somewhere. I don't remember his name. God bless his soul. He opened the whole presentation for these music business gurus from all over the world who were invited to come and see our showcase, the African showcase. He opened. He was bombing really badly.
Oh.
And yeah.
Or
and
to
then
bomb is to have a bad performance.
And then people started walking out. People had like really short.
What was wrong? Like,
I don't know what was it. He was not connecting with it because he was not terrible.
Oh,
he was not terrible, the poor guy. But people started walking out. And me and Lebo were really banking on this because we're like, yo, we want to get like managers overseas. We want to, because there was everybody from publishing to management to tour managers to record company execs. All kinds of people from all over the world were in that room to come because they were launching the MTV Africa and they wanted to showcase African artists to show that we can compete on that level, So he was starting, Lebo was going to go next and then I was going to close the show. And then they started walking out the door. I was like, no! Lebo jumped on stage quick. Lebo jumped on stage quick. Put her backtrack and her dancers. They started dancing around these people. And then Bastopa as dead on their tracks. Some guy had walked out. And then dead on their tracks. And they started just like making their way to the stage. But dancer, Lebo, I've never seen Lebo saving a moment like that. And then we knew when we're going up, we have to hit it hard, and then after that, Lebo, I was just like this. I was like, she was like, yo, Zala Pela, they can't do this to us. I had to do something. And I was just like the performer that she was. Because she was, and they were wearing things that were like just shimmering, and then it was just like this wow thing, and that's one of many stories of Lebo that I have.
There's something incredible about people who are born to be natural performers. Like she understands the moment and the time. That if
the timing. Because if
those people leave, she has no audience to perform to. So I might as well perform now.
Because I wouldn't have done that. I would have cried like, God damn it, this opportunity is gone. Lebo was like, this. I don't know what she was probably on that gave her courage as well. She was like, put her backtrack, and then she told her dancers, they didn't even have time to jump on stage. They started like just dancing on the floor, walking to the stage. And it was just like, wow, So
did her music inspire you in any way? Do you have a particular song that you really vibe with? I like Take Me There. Which is a song from hers, and it's very soulful. I know she did pop songs as well out there, which is almost like Kwaito-ish, but I like her soulful aspect as well.
Lebo and soul, man. Like I feel like if she was still around, that's where I would like tell her to do like a little bit, like mess with that, some of these tracks, they just had like a really upbeat beat, but they were soulful songs. Really, if you think about it.
She was godly. She was an incredible musician. And sometimes for us as fans as well, we would rather just know those musicians from a distance. It's like, yo, I would rather not know you and know you, because in order for you to be a performer, bro, you have to give a lot of yourself. And also you come with certain quirks about you, like Yasogolisa. You need people to perform at a very high standard. If you need your water, you need it now. And that's like the give and take. We want them to be super musicians, which they are. But the takeaway is that they will have things about their personalities that is like very robust, and they want things when they want them because they become such perfectionists. So I think sometimes the relationship with us as fans is that we would rather just know them as fans and not know them personally as well.
Wow, that's beautiful. I've never heard somebody put it like that. Usually it's like so much hate towards artists and their diva sensibilities. Not that I encourage their diva sensibilities. I don't think you need to be like that. I don't think Lebo was like that as well. If she did want a water, it wouldn't be in a demanding way. It would be just just like a normal other person just asking for water, And so she didn't have those kinds of sensibilities as far as I know. But it's the first time I've heard somebody that actually is coming from a place of like understanding. You're not encouraging that. I don't think we're encouraging that kind of behavior, but it's coming from an understanding, and it's very refreshing. Thank you for that. It's very heartfelt. Thank you for that. Because all I hear is every time I do interviews, and it's getting kind of tiring, guys. Like, get the F out of here, Every time I do interviews, it's like, oh, you won't believe this. And it's like, I'm supposed to be happy about that I'm different. I know that I'm different, and I know that I'm not that difficult. But it's like, just even now, the last interview I did, I was told, oh, I can't believe you actually came this side of the entrance and you didn't complain. You won't believe there was an artist who told me that they're wearing heels and they don't want to come. And they're like, I'm constantly hearing that kind of crap, And
I've worked on radio, and I do. All my life, I do YouTube channels and I do TV work because I'm a sports person. So I do sports. And
Hence this whole thing. That's where you're coming from. Okay.
Yeah, I come from that, Okay. And because you are around radio and TV a lot, you do see the diva aspect of people. Okay. But then, because Nami, I do give a lot of myself to my football audience. Yeah. Like, I know that I like being a decent person. And I prefer being a decent person.
Correct.
But I know that I work with other people who are not that decent, because this thing takes and takes. You have to perform in front of the cameras. I was telling Cultr before we shot that every single time the lights are on, I'm uncomfortable, but you'll never tell. Yeah. Because it's in boom, act, and then that's it. Like, you have to, until she says cut, and then we're done. Yeah. And then I can go back to my reclusive self. Yes. But I do know, like, some people are so entertaining that they give a lot of themselves to people, So the takeaway is that, unfortunately, there will be a-holes sometimes. But because they give a lot to themselves. Like, I ask people who used to play football to come and do content for my channel, and they work for us, and they get paid, right? Yeah. And then we do so many videos in a week, like 5-6 different days, depending on how many matches are playing. And there's hundreds of thousands of people who watch that content, hundreds of thousands of people. And that's why we have this plague. It's from that channel, right? And we make so much impact. But the commentary, if I told them, don't look at the comments. The commentary is so aggressive towards them that I get it that they tend to become divas sometimes. Not that I encourage it, because I'm not that, but with them I get it, because, like, I'm asking them every time the lights are on to perform and entertain people, and it takes a lot from them. But anyway, sorry for dwelling on that.
No, it's fine. Fine.
Where do we go next? I was asking you about awards, and we got a beautiful story from there. Thank you.
That's me.
That was a spontaneous question. I didn't know that we were going to go to Lebo Mathosa, because musicians have beautiful stories to tell.
The experiences are crazy. Yeah.
Of course, you've expressed regret on the sabbatical.
Yes. Oh, you've heard that.
I was reading it on News 24 or something like that. Yeah. You've expressed regret on the sabbatical. Regrets. Yeah. You become famous, and you are 19, 20 years old. You're dealing with this. How are you dealing with this? Because I'm 32, and I struggle sometimes to deal with all of this, and it's not even at the scale that you were on, which is millions of listeners, right? How did you deal with that? Did you become something that was different from what you were going to become? Because you're still a child, and this thing comes to you, the fame thing, and then it molds you, and then you treat people differently depending on what kind of personality you have. What happened to you in terms of the fame? How did it shape you being a young adult?
For me, as a person, and I think I try to use that stubbornness in the right way. So for me, I was like not gonna be kind of phased about it. Like I said, you have to know my story, say idols, idols to understand. But it's not something that I premeditated. Like in a superstar, I want to be in the industry, I want to be in the entertainment industry, I want to be a singer, I want to be this. These are not things. My life, the way my life turned out, was not premeditated. It was just God leading me this direction. So for me, when it happened, I was like, it solidified the fact that, wow, I think I can write songs. Oh, okay, cool. And then I just kept it moving, and I was performing. It was scary, and then always trying to improve myself, trying to practice whatever. That's where my mindset was. It wasn't, oh, now I have all this attention. Oh, wow, I'm loving this attention. Oh, wow, I'm famous, whatever. It was always about the work.
You have to realize, though, to have let's say I'll take a guess, to have 500,000 at some point as an 18-year-old is not normal.
No, it wasn't normal. But for me, in my head, I told you, I live in my head. I'm Aquarius. In my head, my life was pretty much normal. It's just that now I had more money. That's it, you know? So I was pretty much normal. The difference was like the people around me. That's when like my life started becoming a really, really like sort of like a tumor, like a struggle. That's when the fame started becoming a problem. It's most of the time it's the people around you more than you know, who is like phased about that, depending on the type of person you are and the personality you are and whatever. So it starts becoming a big deal for them. It starts being like this attention for them and dealing with that, constantly fighting with people thinking we as jella when you're putting your foot down. And it's like, okay, so now I am supposed to, in the words of Tamara Mowry, the twin girls that were sister. She once said something really profound, Tamara, and she said, just because I am a public figure does not mean I'm public property. So you ended up feeling like you are like that now. Like anybody can say, do anything, and you're not really supposed to say anything back because now you're going to be considered this person. Like you start not having a human element to yourself. And it's like constantly reminding people that you are. Like, nah, I don't feel like this. Like after a show, you know, whether it be family members or whatever at my house, you know, because I had a home pretty young, you know, angazi bengifuna ngiyothenga indlu engakanani ngina 21 and whatever, but I didn't want to live alone, so I had family members that live with me. When I come back from a studio session or a gig after giving everything, ngifuna ukungena endlini ngivala umnyango and
you want silence,
and I want silence, and then mengena kunabantu because they've invited people, because it's like, oh my god, you are Zama's who? You are Zama's, okay, we're coming over, and then they chilling there and I walk in and I don't like that crap and I voice it because I've always like been able to say what I don't like, which is what has gotten me to do albums like Ndaweyami, because I said to Dave, I don't like this, let's try this or whatever. So even walking into that space and be like, guys, I don't feel like this, not right now. Especially you didn't give me a heads up, Uguti, there's gonna be this people, and whatever, and then it's like, oh, now you think you all that, now you think you this, now you think you that, whatever. So dealing with things like that, that's the struggle. For me, my life, my head, it was normal. It was a job. It was working out, and I was trying to milk it as much as I possibly can for however long as I possibly can.
Do you feel like immediately after shooting or recording, you want to be alone? Like you just want
Totally. After a gig, you know, after a gig, like that's why I'd like to be married. I told you I'm candid. I'd like to be married so that I go home, sleep with my husband, and sleep, not even talk. I don't want him to ask me how the show was, how anything was.
I get it.
You know, I don't want. I'll tell him tomorrow because I'm also still processing. You know, because for me, the feedback is not the audience. I love the audience. I love the audience responding to me. I love the audience giving me that energy, but that does not really translate how good I am. You know, for me, what translates how good I am is me and my band, what we were doing. Did we do it right? Did we achieve this? Did I hit the notes I wanted to hit? Things like that. Did I, whatever, what do I need to improve? That's why every gig, I try to put like my phone right by this monitor, or if I've got a music stand, I put it there and I record myself. And then so that I go back to my room and then either the next day, because sometimes I don't want to hear music. The next day I sit and I listen. I'm like, okay, let me check this. I write it down, things that I need to improve on when I practice, on my daily practice, or 3 times a week when I practice or whatever. Those are things that I'm whatever. Or I Google artists who are good at that. And I'm like, okay, I need to improve on this. I know who's good at this. You know, like right now, like Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald are people that I've been listening to because I want to start learning how to scat sing. And they, you know, they're always on that tip. So I've been listening to all of that, whatever. So that's what I do. That's why I'm saying I wouldn't necessarily want to talk to him or analyze the gig or analyze all of that. I just want to get home and like pass out. Yeah.
People don't get that.
No,
they don't understand, and they want to take, like, they want to take. They want your attention. They want to
take all
WhatsApp
the time.
you. They want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, after I've shot a video, after I've shot a show,
yeah,
I am done on that day. Like today, we're shooting this video and another video.
Yeah.
at 2 p.m. I am done for the day.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone to talk to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I've designed my life and my house so that there's enough space for everyone that I can go in a room alone.
Yeah.
Even though I have family here.
Yeah.
Like I want to be alone and I want to just nothing. Like don't WhatsApp me, don't call me, don't nothing.
Yeah.
And that's it. But people don't understand that. And they think that that's a diva tendency.
Yeah, they do. Like I said, I got a lot of those things. That's why you have to trust your inner self. Trust yourself and trust where you're coming from. It's best to know yourself more than another person knows you, because if somebody accuses you of something, you can think, am I like this, or this person thinks I'm like this because I'm not doing this, so, and then you're like, nah, I ain't like this person thinks I'm like this because I'm not doing that. That's what it is. So for me, I know, see, I'm not a diva. So when somebody comes to me and says I'm a diva, I'm like, like it doesn't even faze me. And I've always been like that since I was 16, 17 or whatever. I've always been like that. Like, go to sleep. I'm not like that. Or if they say I am, I say, tell me, what did I do? And then usually when you actually go a step further and ask, because usually other people, it's defensive. Like, I am not a diva. And I'm like, really? What did I do? Confront it. Don't be scared. And then if they state out facts, Olisa. Yabo, don't justify it. Olisa, no, man, I'm sorry I did that. I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry, I'll improve on that, whatever. If you're not, and they can't say, which I've said, like most of the time, they can't say why. Ngiyakubuza, why am I, what did I do? Ngenzeni? I can't remember now. Hambulala.
Yeah.
I think
it's an interesting aspect of this conversation, and I think perhaps people, because I think as your people, which are musicians, you're a musician, people in your industry, they put out a facade of like, yo, my responsibility is to entertain you. And then as a result of that, there's like a wall between us and them that we don't get to know. These people suffer too.
Yeah.
These people go through struggles too. Sorry. If you had a 7-year contract with BMG, how did you fulfill your obligations with them having gone on a sabbatical? What were the obligations on the contract? Did you fulfill them? What happened? Were they not calling you and say, yo, bro, we need to ride on this wave, another album. And what did you say? Yeah,
it was very, very difficult. That's why the whole thing ended up in two companies suing each other. That's another thing where I was like, nah, I need to get away from all of this. Like, F this. I think I was running away because I didn't want the media attention. I've always tried to not be like an artist that is always in the papers for things like that. I never liked that look for artists. But in South Africa, you can't avoid that, because I mimic my career so much like Sade, like not just liking the way that she sounds as an artist, but just liking the way that she
releases an album once every 10 years.
And in South Africa you can't do that. She's an international superstar. I'm only a South African superstar, or used to be, whatever. I can't do that. You can't do that. You have to constantly be giving to keep the ball rolling in SA,
So what did you say to the label then? If were they demanding of you to fulfill those obligations?
That's where my lawyers that I got to argue that point, when they were still trying to hold on to me, because I wanted to get out, because they were releasing not too many, just a few artists that were like very similar to me. And I felt like there's no space. So we're trying to recreate the whole thing. They are an industry, they're trying to make a job, trying to make work. So if this is the thingy, the template that works right now, we going to produce 1 million of those and milk that.
Which is now it's the time for Amapiano.
And then it's sort of unfair on the artist that like kind of maybe originated that or whatever. But instead of crying crocodile tears, you're supposed to get into the studio and hit some more. I wasn't prepared for all of those things. For me, I backed off because I was like, how? What's happening? Even people that I loved in the in the label, I was like, I thought you were my friend. And I realized, oh shit, this is business. Your template worked, sweetie. So we're gonna do more of you. What the hell? And I'm like, but what am I supposed to do now? You're chowing up my space. I should have fought. That's why I'm telling you, I should be a judge. I can train people. I should have fought. But anyway, I don't have any regrets. I'm good.
But how was that resolved?
Sorry.
How was it resolved?
I I left, but then now they were trying to keep me.
Okay,
they were trying to. Going back to your question, they were trying to keep me because it was like, okay, I had done the 7 years, and then the contract was also 5 albums. 5 albums, 7 years.
Because that's where I want to get it.
Yeah.
Like, there must be a specification on the number of albums, which is the obligation.
Yeah.
You gave them 1.
Yeah.
You owe them 4.
Yeah, I gave them 2.
Okay.
I gave them 2 albums in a space of 5 years. So me, the lawyer I got, the point we argued was, well, she did 7 years with you guys, 1. 2, you should have made sure there should be paper trail to make sure that y'all were trying to get her in the studio every year and a half. You should have also been doing that. And you didn't do that. They tried to fight. It was a whole fight. At this point, I had recorded another album with another independent label. And then that guy, we had our own short little comings with that, and then he went and released that. Sony went and sued them, and then he tried to sue Sony back. I left all of them, and then Sony, because like I said, it was more than just a business. At least they still had a heart for me, like the way I have a heart for them. They could tell that the whole situation is stressing me out, and then they decided to give me release papers. It was also a back and forth for a while because they tried to hang on to me, and I said, what am I going to give you? I've got nothing to give you. What are you holding on to? I've already given you Ndawo Yami and Donyamans. You can milk that. So it was a bit of a back and forth. There was no lawyers at this point when they decided to release me because I wasn't coming as attacking. I came as a human being, and then they gave me my release papers, and then they said, whenever I'm ready, if I want to come back or whatever. But for now, they're just releasing me so that I can be by myself and then really think about what it is that I want to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Sounds like a bruising battle.
Yeah.
Did you lose any of yourself in that, though?
I mean, Did you
come out of it mean? Did you come out of it negative towards record labels? What did that experience teach you?
No, I'm not negative. I'm not negative at all towards record labels. If I could do it, I would do it again, because being independent, it's nice. All the money comes to you, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I'm the type of person that likes to wake up and focus on, like, if I'm not gigging, focus on practicing, trying to play a little bit more, practice with my bands. Those are things that I want to put a lot of my attention to, not too much of the paperwork and things like that, and doing this and whatever. So even if you do hire people, because you are your own, label, you still have to follow up with those people. You hire a PR team, you still have to call them. You hire this, you still have to do this, whatever. Whereas if you've got a label, they handle all of that because they've got their money also, invested. They gave you the studio money to go record with the band and whatever. They've invested 200K, 150K, however much that people are investing nowadays, because not a lot of people are recording live. So they also push with you, ni pusha noi too. Why have you not put me on this platform yet? Why have you not? We're working on it. And we already put you. We didn't tell you doing this. Like the week of the release right now, like I've released a single. If I was with Sony, I would literally not be able to sit with you for an hour. I'd have to dash and go somewhere else. Yeah. I'd be doing 20 in a day.
Yeah.
20 in a day. They put you everywhere. Small little, startups, big radio stations, community, they put you everywhere. That's their way of doing things, mass marketing. Put you everywhere so that when people switch on anything, Yazu Zamula, let me get this song, So they do that. So I miss that, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. I miss that. And I realize how it works is because they've invested so much. Right now, you hire a PR person, and then you still have to keep calling them. Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done that? You hire a radio plug-in person, you still have to, you pushing, like you're the only one that's committed. It gets a little, Yeah. So I don't know. But then the beautiful thing is that if it does work out, you reap all those.
Yeah, you don't have to break bread with multiple people, and you only get 11%.
Yeah, as opposed to only getting 11%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you still allowed to perform your songs? Like you said, you got the masters back.
Yeah.
Was there, or maybe let me ask the question differently, because I realized with you that you allowed to perform your songs.
Yeah.
What happens in the case when musicians are not allowed to? Like Lauryn Hill is struggling to perform her songs.
Really?
She has to remix them or have a different backtrack when she's performing.
Really?
Unless maybe the time has elapsed. I know, like in the last 5 years, that was a thing. Because she had a problem with the label. She only gave them a miseducation. And I don't think that she only owed them miseducation. I would think, similar to you, that she needed to give them something else. Unplugged was not supposed to be an album.
Okay.
MTV Unplugged, but she performed there.
Yeah.
New songs, half-hearted new songs.
Yeah.
You know, and she was imperfect playing the guitar and this and that, right? But then the label, because she's not delivering anything, took that and made that an album.
Okay.
You know, because she was still on the bars in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So I think she owes them. And I think that there's a technicality of performing her songs that she has to perform them at a different BPM, a different speed, and type of thing, or she has to have a different backtrack as well. So I think it's very interesting.
They're making a out of her. Sorry, what the hell? A different speed, perform the song at different speed. So
that you can argue that it's not the same song.
Get out of here, man. What?
Yeah, well, so industry anyway is interesting. It's interesting.
It's just a lot of people just running a mockery out of nonsense, really. And I think artists have just like sort of allowed these things, you know, to go on, and they just need to stop. They need to stop. I mean, in my sabbatical, one of the things I thought about was to go and study entertainment law because of what I went through with record companies suing themselves over me and the content and all of that. And I thought, maybe if I don't want to continue maybe releasing music and all of that stuff, because I've fallen in love with entertainment, creativity, expression, and all of those things, maybe what I can do is in the next chapter of my life is help, because I know how it feels. I know how a lot of things feels. So I think to be able to groom, I can do that. And also, you know, help people out with their contracts. That means a lot of people will hate me in the industry, but I don't mind, you know, I don't care. So like, you know, help that. So I thought, let me do that. But then I had a baby and I'm like, yo funda just uksiza, because I wouldn't even charge artists, but it's something that crossed my mind, you know, because of things like this. It's kind of ridiculous.
Can we talk about motherhood?
Sorry?
Can we talk about motherhood?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. How many children do you have? You enjoying that experience?
Yeah, I do. I enjoy it very much. I have 2 children. Yeah.
But you're not talking about motherhood. Like, is it challenging?
It's extremely challenging. Yeah. It's very challenging.
Particularly when you still have ambitions of recording music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, I have to leave, like, I was in Europe for a month, and I came back last week, and that was the longest I've ever left my son, because he's a COVID baby. And he's a COVID baby.
Stop calling children COVID.
Sorry, guys, COVID baby. So I've never really left him, you know. So that was the longest I've ever left him, and I enjoyed it. So I was like, I can go to sleep at night without being bothered. I missed him though. I'm like, I missed him.
But that's honesty. Like, Nani,
I actually break. Yeah. But I did miss him. I mean, like, I would cry. But I enjoyed like just having like a 7-hour nap without, you know, being woken up, because he still wakes up. He's almost 3 and he still wakes up during the night. Kids are different, you know.
You think you're done with 2?
I want to be done, but I'm not married. So if, you know, what if I meet somebody and then they want a child? Yeah. You know, so I'm open to that, you know. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm still, mine is 10 years old.
You only have one?
Yeah. She was born in 2012, and it's like, I look at her and I'm like, she's almost my height now.
Oh, wow.
She's very tall. And I'm like, yo, I would like you to be the last one. I know she's not going to be the last one.
Oh, is it?
I want to pursue things. Like, bro, I want to be creative.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, in an ideal world, you would be my last one.
Yeah.
Or even in an ideal world, there would be 0. Yeah. Because you want to be creative and stuff like that. But
there's so many babies you want to, like, your creative babies that you want to do. Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, it's not all rosy. I mean, people come here and talk about their children and their marriages as if they're perfect. Yeah, it's not. Like, there are times where it's like, yo, I can't even go to Brazil without considering that I have to leave you here. Yeah. You know, or I can't move to another city when I'm tired of Joburg. Yeah. Because it's the middle of the school year and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
How did it change you though? Like, did you feel more responsible because you have children?
Yeah. I mean, it has, you know, kids, they fuel you. So that's the nice thing, you know. Well, I don't know if that it does that to everybody, but for me, it fuels me like to keep going and finding avenues. And I want to leave generational wealth for them. You know, will I ever achieve it? I don't know. I play the lotto every day, so I might. I don't know, but I do. I would like to leave them with something that my grandchildren, my great grandchildren can have to live off. You know, that is my dream. But me being a single mother, and I am like fully responsible for my children for everything, you know, not just love and time, but financially I feed them, I clothe them, I, you know, put a roof over their heads. I'm the one that's responsible for everything. And I really like being a mom. So sometimes I'm just like, let me put work away, like often in the late afternoons after I've picked him up from preschool. My daughter is old now, she couldn't care, she walks around the house with headphones on, so to get her attention. But my son, you know, that's our time. As soon as I've fetched him until he goes to bed, that's my time with him, those 2 hours. So
how are you making your living now?
I gig.
And that's sustainable.
Yeah. I mean, for after COVID, it was during COVID, and after COVID, it was slightly after COVID, it was a little bit difficult, but things are picking up now. So, yeah.
And do you there's no pressure for you to do something else other than gigging? Like, because of course, like the album that you made years ago still sustains you.
Yeah.
Right? People still want to hear it.
Yeah.
There's still space for it.
Yeah.
But do you think without that album, it would be unrealistic for you to earn a living from gigging?
I mean, yeah, I would have nothing to show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, like that album is like people still like to hear it. People still like to, you know, see me perform it. So I am like riding that wave until I can't ride it anymore. We'll see. Maybe I won't be able to write it after 6 months, or maybe I'll write it for the next 10, 20 years, for however long I'm going to write it. We'll see. You know, like I said, Guti, for me, the approach is not, it's not to force anything, you know. I don't like to be a forcer. I know. So
you could be a school teacher.
I mean, I have to look at avenues of like what I would do. Like,
actually, I had this. I'm so sorry. I had this question in my head. Like, would you do anything else in entertainment, like being a presenter and stuff like that? I mean, you're offering your services to the idols if they're listening, help be a mentor there. But have you thought about it? It's like, yo, I would do radio, I would do this. Like, are you that person?
I honestly don't know. Because the thing is with the entertainment, once it bites you, you don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I don't want to force myself into spaces, you know. I wanted to tell you now that there's this beautiful book that I'm reading, and I got something really profound from it, where they were quoting Bukowski, the guy who was a poet and a writer and whatever, and he was like a lush. He was drunk and like liked women or whatever. He's got a very kind of crazy story. He was a very hard character. So, and the author was saying that Bukowski on his grave wrote, and on his grave it says, "Don't try." You know, and how he interpreted that as "don't try" is like so much, like we get up and we're like, "Yo, I want to achieve this," and we're doing this and we're doing this and doing. Bukowski, he got his big break when he was like 52. He had been a writer all his life, and nobody wanted to give him a break.
Wow.
And then somebody decided to just like, okay, let me give this guy a break. And then he blew up. This publisher just betted on him, and then he blew up and became the success. Still was a shithead like that he was before the success. He still was a drunk, like crazy, just drinking like where you pass out. Was Tolik saying, like he was that kind of character. He's known for being like that, but he got his success like later on in life. And then when he died, he just wrote on his grave, "Don't try."
Okay, right. Yeah. Let's wrap it up then. Your new single.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Actually, it's ingrained in my head, this thing of "don't try." I'm gonna look out for it.
I've also been trying. That's why right now I can say like I was the best I should be, whatever. Yeah. Like I'm just riding the wave and seeing where it takes me. That's who I am. Yeah. I like to do music, and I think that I still have a lot to offer, but you know, and I'm going to give it my best, but we'll see.
Yeah, your new single, I was listening to it last night on Spotify, and it sounds like up tempo or dance? It has dance
No,
elements.
it's totally me like jumping on the mapiano wave.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Like, so you embrace that's even though it has meaning, but it's
Yeah.
like umtandazo actually.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
You know, which is strange, but so you're infusing your poet soulfulness within amapiano.
Yeah.
If you were then to release an offering in full, is
Yeah.
that the sound that you would be going for?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm done with the album. I've been writing. I'm almost done. I'm gonna start recording like next month, and I want to release the full studio album of what I do in March. This is just me like having fun, like releasing a 4-track EP of this the mapiano wave and whatever. Because I felt like my vocals could fit very well with that, so I just wanted to experiment with that. But no, I'm not releasing a full studio album of a mapiano. No, I can collaborate. Like Stocky, DJ Stocky is releasing an album now. He featured me. Like I'm featuring with certain people. I'll lend my vocals to whoever if I'm interested.
But with your own project, you know who you are.
Hell no. No. I know who I am. I know who my audience is, and I know who feeds me, and I'm feeding them. Yeah.
Okay. Masiva like sister.
Siyabonga.
Umyalezo wakho kulutsha. Do you understand what I've just said?
My message to the youth.
Umyalezo wakho kulutsha.
Okay.
What's your message to young people? I'm copying there's this guy called Lex Fridman. Every single time he speaks to professors, this and that, like very important people.
Yeah.
And he's got like close to 1 million people who follow him.
Yeah.
And every single time he says, what's your message to the youth out there? Without specifically answering that question, what the f- would you like to say to people?
I don't know. I love you. Do everything from love, do everything from love. I don't know what to say to the youth.
And that's okay.
Please.
Though.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay to not know what to say.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know what to say.
it's consistent with that don't try message.
Yeah, I actually wanted to say that, like, just try to align your life, and then I think God is just gonna bring whatever that it's supposed to be brought to you. It will come. Indon? Idugu. What do you mean Indon? Ufuna ngithwale Indon?
It's a style Indon.
Yeah.
Are you a chakrahan?
Am I a what now?
They call, so on social media, they call people who are aligned to their center a chakrahan. People who
oh my God, social
who
media.
listen to Erykah Badu and drink Black Label. And they talk about toxic masculinity.
Oh my God, I agree with toxic masculinity. I do agree with that.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
So
I'm just
woke women look like you. That's what I'm saying. Like
man. I'm growing my dreadlocks, and I don't want to twist them all the time. So ngiyashukula. That's it, and I don't want to wear caps and hats only. So ngiyashukula. That's it.
Okay.
It's not that deep. Nothing about me is that deep.
Even your album is not that deep, which is disappointing. Your first best album is
my first best album is not that deep.
Yeah, like you didn't tell us funny story, beautiful stories about I went to the top of Table Mountain, and that's how I came up with magic.
For what?
Because I saw the magic in the clouds and whatever.
No, it's what, like, I want to know how, that's deep. I want to know how it feels to be loved, how it feels to be me, how it feels to be free. Ha! Guys, what's not deep? Give me the magic.
But what inspired those words? Yeah, well,
it
wasn't heartbreak. That's why you want to know how it feels to be
heartbroken at 17. I wasn't even dating then.
That's a good point, actually.
Hi.
We must get more children to write music, actually.
You have said the most profound-ish ever, because that's when you're the most vulnerable, most not scared to express your vulnerability and your naivety. You're not scared to do that. Now you learn life. Wait, we are check before.
It's like, there is no magic.
Yeah.
Magic does not exist.
No, the magic exists, but you're just very careful as to how, like, when you're young, you're just giving you're just like this. So, that's why I think things work a lot better when you're younger. Yeah.
There you go. Zamajobe Sithole, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys, for watching us. Boom.